Hi, welcome to my game room. A lot of returning viewers have seen glimpses of this room in my past videos, but I've been wanting to do a full room tour for a while now, and I figured what better time than now, and that's because I am actually moving. My wife and I got a house recently, and that's actually why I haven't posted a ton of videos lately. I just haven't had a lot of time. I've been doing housework. But besides that, you probably hear cars in the background. Right now we live in an apartment in a small city, and it has a spare room. And I turned that spare room into not just my game room, kind of just my everything room. I'm a lifelong collector, as you can probably tell. And I like my things. I love collecting, and having a place for it is really neat. And yeah, I wanted to show you guys the game room and also kind of capture all of it before the big move. I'm gonna sit down here on, got a little futon. It fits just fine in here. And it was all that I could afford at the time. I'm gonna sit here. You can see me in the CRT. Again, returning viewers have probably recognized or are familiar with this angle. Here's my setups, and yes, 3 TVs. It's a lot, I'm not gonna lie, and I agree with that. But I really like having 3 separate TVs. Honestly, I could do with 2, but the main problem is, like, just having a CRT and a flat screen is just enough for me. But the reason I have 2 CRTs is, one, I collect CRTs, believe it or not, and I just have, these 2 are both great. It's tough to pick just one, but also it's just tough to house enough consoles on one entertainment stand, and I like these old CRT entertainment stands too. One, they were just made to withstand the weight of a CRT, and 2, they got that wooden look, and they're just cool. Let me show you what I got in here. Right now I've got an Xbox 360 and a DVD player. Now I know that doesn't make a ton of sense because Xbox 360 has a DVD player, but I've had that DVD player for longer than that 360. I got that one for Christmas. My old one is sitting right there with disk drive issues. And I normally don't have 2 Wii's here. I actually have the one on top is home brewed. So I've got some stuff on there. I've got Super Smash Bros. Melee, Slippy mod put on there. And then the bottom one is just my current vanilla Wii, no mods or anything. And that's what I use right now for all my Wii stuff, and actually all my GameCube stuff. This is my childhood GameCube that unfortunately the disc's laser just is not that great anymore. It has a lot of trouble reading everything. But I can't unplug it. I just can't bring myself to do it. GameCube's my favorite console, for anybody who doesn't know, and I'll talk about the GameCube a little bit more later. And you can tell from looking here that I grew up a Nintendo guy for sure. I've ventured into other consoles more as the years have went on, but in my heart and soul, I'm a Nintendo guy. I'll fully admit that. I've got a top loader NES that's actually modded for AV support instead of RF, which is super nice. So that means that all 4 of these consoles right here have the exact same AV cable. Fun fact for you. Normally it's just the GameCube, the 64, and the SNES have the same AV cable, but with that mod, that NES has the same one too, which is cool. And then I've got on the bottom shelf, I you're gonna notice a lot of me pausing to think about what I'm gonna say, because, well, I've got a lot to say about these things. These things are all very dear to me, but also I'll look around the room and I'll get distracted by seeing something else, thinking about what I want to say about it. Anyways, I've got my original N64 and my SNES. That SNES has got a little bit of a yellow bottom. It happens, it is what it is. And I say original N64 because I had a little phase where people were just kind of, I had a phase where every single N64 game I was getting, I had maybe like 20 N64 games that I had not spent a single dollar on, which is in a weird phase where I was starting to collect them. People were just giving me like their N64 console as well as their games, so I also have 3 N64s. But hey, it never hurts to have a spare. But yeah, those are all the consoles and things I have set up on here. I used to have a VCR player, but that unfortunately broke. It ate a tape, and I couldn't repair it myself. That's all I've got on here. I've got the TV remote. I always keep the Wii remote here just because it's handy to have. Got the sensor bar on top. Anytime I'm playing a game, I like to put them on top. And this is the most recent game I've been playing on this setup. So it's sitting there. And I've got an AV switcher. I don't know what the actual name for that is. I'll zoom in a little bit. But it's a little box with, oh, you can see the dust. I told you I've been working on the other house. I haven't done anything around here, but it's got different channels that you can flip around to the different channels that your AV cables are hooked up to, which is super handy because that means that you don't have to unplug. You don't have to reach around the back of the TV, unplug something whenever you want to play console. And I'm at the point in my I don't know how I want to say it. I'm at the point in my life where convenience is really nice. And back here I've got a little fake plant and a little just decorative piece. Just kind of cool to have. I like adding greenery. I mentioned this in my lighting video. I did a video entirely on my lighting in this room. And I mentioned in that video that I like adding a touch of greenery to different areas of my rooms, but also all my plants in here are fake plants because it's nice to be able to do that without having to worry about getting water or dirt all over your stuff. Like it would be unfortunate if I just happened to spill a little bit of water, got in my TV, it's ruined, potentially. But yeah, back here I've got another plant. Just another fake one back there, and this is my next setup. Like I said, there's just kind of not enough room in this one to have all my consoles. It's kind of silly to have a whole TV for just these 2 consoles when you look at that setup over there. But it's nice. It is fun to have, to be able to to be able to just have a dedicated area for something specific. It's not something that everybody can do, so it's cool to be able to. I've got my PS2 and my Dreamcast. I actually don't have a PS1, but I'm a huge PS1 guy. I've always just had a PS2 and that works for me. And I just recently upgraded. I had a slim PS2 since I was probably 14. And I upgraded to a fat one just recently just because the slim one was giving me issues. It still works fine, but it was just kind of annoying. Annoying little issues. And I got my Dreamcast. This was my first console that I bought when I moved out of my parents' house. It was the first one that I really bought with I want to say actual money from working a job. So that's cool. It holds a special place in my heart, and I really love the Dreamcast. It was cool being able to experience a retro console for the first time. so many years after getting into the hobby. So that's really neat. I love the Dreamcast, I really do. I've got a stack of something else that I like to have in the game room, and that is some strategy guides. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. I've got the video like in that kind of like fisheye lens. It's not super clear, but it'll be okay. I've got a couple strategy guides, and these ones are for the consoles in this bin. I've only got a couple. I've got Tekken 3, Tekken 4. I've got like a Dreamcast magazine, which just talks about the kind of the games in that time frame. I've got it mainly for Shenmue. I love Shenmue. Got a Bushido Blade strategy guide, and you guys know, long-time viewers know that I love Shenmue. And then I've got a PlayStation 1 magazine, because it featured Soul Blade. I want to talk about some of my strategy guides in a future video though. I might talk about them more later. And I forgot to talk about the shell. I have like little drawers in here. This one, it's got a weird jumble of stuff. It's got a couple of GameCube controllers that I use. I like to use different controllers for different things. For example, this one back here, it was made of some spare parts, and it's kind of just my go-to, like my friend came over and just wants to play some casual games. This is mine that I use for casual games. I used to use it for competitive Smash, but I kind of just wore it down to the point where it works perfect for casual games, but for something more precise, it's not quite there. This all clear one, I love this controller. These are all official, by the way, and I'll actually do a video on my GameCube controllers in the future. But this one's just a really solid controller for Smash, and it's good to use. It's even good on vanilla Melee, instead of like UCF. And then this one, this is the Mario one, and this is the one I use for Soul Calibur 2, just because it's a solid controller and it's cool to be able to use it. And like I said, I just like having separate things for separate stuff. Oh my god, it's so dark. You can barely see it, but I've got all of my Star Wars DVDs, VHS, Blu-ray, everything. I've got all the VHS that was released in America. I've got 1 through 6 on DVD. I've got 7 on DVD as well. And then I've got, what Blu-ray do I have? I don't even have a Blu-ray player. I just have an Xbox One. I've got Revenge of the Sith and Empire Strikes Back on Blu-ray. I don't really remember why I have those. I kind of got them just for cheap, I think. I've got an old, this is my old VCR remote actually, or maybe it's this DVD player. Can't remember now. I think it's the old VCR remote, and then I've got a tape cleaner tape for VCR. That was my childhood one. And then here I've got even more of a random jumble of stuff. I've got my wife's controller, my dad's controller. I've got my go-to Dreamcast controller, my go-to PS2 controller. This is my Melee competitive controller in a GameCube case. Some batteries, the owner's manual for this TV stand, an IKEA receipt for shelves, Sega Genesis AV cables, which I have a Genesis, but I don't have it set up. A VHS tape reminder, SpongeBob Season 1 through 3 on DVD, and then our local video store was closing down, and this is one of my pickups on the last day, and it's pretty neat. just like a ambient type of collection, and if you watch the channel you know that I like that stuff. This video is already getting long. I'm gonna be in trouble if I'm gonna show off this whole room. I've got like different collections that I'm not gonna go super in depth on because I want to do separate videos on each. Like for example, I'll stick to over here. This shelf is all anime DVDs. I'll probably do a video specifically on that in the future. But for now, I'll just be like, yeah, these are anime DVDs. Got a little plush corner, little cinema roll, little Makar, Kirby and Waddle Dee peeking out. There's a blanket in there. Nothing too fancy. I showed off this lamp in the cozy lighting video. I've got a super jank Mikasa from Attack on Titan figure that I've just never been able to get to work. She's leaning on a Soul Calibur 2 Necrid figure. It's the only way she could stand up. The candle back there, fake plants. Got a Hamtaro Nandoroid. It's my only Nandoroid, but I love Hamtaro. So my wife got that for me for Christmas. I've got these floating shelves above the TVs, and I like them a lot. They're a nice addition. Kind of make for a unique storage space, and I got to do some cool stuff with that. Let me mess with the tripod here for a second. Sorry if there's any video issues, but I'm just kind of making this for fun, and to capture what I got here. Soul Calibur 2 cell, Soul Calibur 5 cell, fake plants, candle, some rocks. Cool. This statue came with the collector's edition of Soul Calibur 6 on launch, and I was happy to get that on launch. Another candle, and this is actually like a weirdly rare Soul Edge boxed little mini figures. They're kind of weird. In fact, they're very weird. They're derpy as heck, but they're chill. Happy to have that. Got this Majora's Mask that my sister-in-law made. Like, she straight up made this. It's ceramic, and it's awesome. She crushed it. Super love that. And I've got my Majora's Mask statue, an ocarina, a Kirby for my cousin, and also my sister-in-law also made this little Korok guy. He's cool. But yeah, I like to have these above the TV. It kind of clears up this empty wall space. I used to be a huge poster guy. My old bedroom at my parents' house was covered every inch with posters. This poster is it's my favorite poster I've ever had. It's super cool, Soul Calibur 2 poster. If you are familiar with the channel, you probably know that that's my favorite game of all time. Let's move on to this TV stand. I'm not going to take as much time on it, because I really don't use this one for gaming that much. I pretty much just use the TV to watch YouTube videos and stuff like that. I keep most of my games on my shelves when I can, because I like having the collection all in one place. But this is pretty much the only game that just sits out pretty much all the time, and it's also really the only thing that I ever use my Xbox One for anymore. It's basically just my Skyrim machine. Absolutely love Skyrim. Used to play it with my grandfather, so it holds a lot of sentimental value, and also it's just a fantastic game. But over here, I've got a Wii U, which I loved the Wii U back in the day when it was still getting support. I really do miss that console. It kind of holds a very special place in my heart. I love it. I love it even to this day, and I still do play it here and there. I think I played before the eShop closed. I got Majora's Mask, and I played that a couple months back. I really enjoyed it. It's not the best way to play it, but I might talk about that more in the future. But it works. more strategy guides. Again, I will talk about them in a future video, but these ones specifically are GameCube games. This is my original Xbox 360 that I had when I was 13. I think that's when I got it, 13 or 14. And it works perfectly. It's just the disc tray, like when it slides out, it just kind of falls out, which is not great. This is the childhood Wii. And it's kind of a similar story. It works okay, but the laser's kind of not so great. And I had that other Wii, so I figured it was time to move on from that. Give it a chance to rest a little bit. It's still got some virtual console games on it, which is neat. And this cube shelf is just from Walmart. It works perfectly fine. I had a different color one at one point, the actual IKEA one, but I prefer this darker brown color. It's still not even perfect, and I'll probably upgrade it when we move. But it's not bad. It did the trick, and it was cheap. But these cube shelves are cool because they make like cool inserts for this. Like, I didn't even talk about this little, like this wire, like book rack that hangs on, and it's pretty neat. And this little cube storage, it's got some controllers, power cords, stuff like that. I keep like these like twisty ties that I actually use to I use for like wrapping up cords when I'm storing them, and I also use them for like cable management, which I really enjoy. It's like this shelf would be miserable if there were like wires hanging like all over, and when I was younger, that's how I had it, and it was just terrible. But this cable management, it's still not the prettiest from back here, but it works. And it's certainly better from a distance. I don't know if you heard the floorboard. These floors are not great, but they're just fine. You also probably heard that crow outside. My goodness, we got trees right out there. Similar to my anime DVDs, I've got anime VHS. You can tell that it's overflowing. I've got them set up in kind of a weird way, because I like to keep them alphabetical to the best of my ability. But it's kind of tough when you just have more tapes than you have space for. I don't want to put them in a box. That's defeats the whole purpose. But I love having these. I kind of got heavy into, I'll go through like phases where, like, let's say for example, for like a couple months I'll just buy nothing but PS2 games, and then maybe I'll move on, and like I'll come back to them at some point obviously and get more, but I'll be like, oh, I kind of want to get some more Wii games right now, and then I'll just have a couple months of just Wii games. I had like a solid like year and a half of just really wasn't collecting anything other than anime VHS, and I really haven't bought any new anime VHS in a very long time. For one, I don't have a VCR right now. Well, I've got one, but it's in storage, and I want to dig it out whenever we move. But I love having them, but one, I can't use them, and two, as you could tell, I'm definitely out of room for them. The only thing I could really do is double layer them, which one, VHS tapes are heavy, man. That would do damage to the shelf. And two, just having a whole row of something completely covered is just not at all appealing to me. As a collector, I got the Hamtaro homeboys up there. My boy Hamtaro, my boy Bijou. It's not a boy, sorry Bijou. And Kirby. As you can tell, I love Kirby. I've got Kirby's on top of all my shelves. I've got Kirby over there, and he's actually chilling with a beanie. I've got those Kirby's over there. I've got a Kirby sitting here at the foot of my couch. I definitely got into like a big Kirby plush phase. I hate to call it I hate to call anything a phase, because like I still love all my stuff. It's just I'm not buying. Obviously I don't have any room for any more big Kirby plushes, and also there's a lot of stuff I like. I can't just buy one thing forever. That's why I was talking about those phases. I gotta move on for a little bit and play with something else. I've got my CDs. I kind of try to do it. I kind of try to sort them in genre a little bit. Like Top is Rock. This this shelf is kind of whack. It's just kind of a weird mixture. This is jazz, but my jazz CD collection is not great. I mainly focus on jazz for vinyl, which I'd like to show in a video in the future. I did a whole video on my electronic CDs if you want to check that out. And this bottom one's video game stuff. It's overflow, because before I had this shelf, I had all my CDs down here. And like half of these are anime soundtracks, the other half are like miscellaneous, with like a good chunk being video game soundtracks and like other soundtracks. When I was really getting into music, it was predominantly soundtracks for a while. I listened to some stuff, of course, but like I really sought after like listening to soundtracks and classical music as well. That's what really got me into music, especially classical music. On top of here I got some cool little trinkets, little crystals and decor. I've showed off the CD player a couple times, but it's my family's childhood one. And it's super nice. On top I have what I'm playing right now, and right now I've been playing Paranoid by Black Sabbath because of Ozzy Osbourne's recent passing. And on top of here I've got my finds from a record convention I went to this weekend. I'm having a lot of trouble focusing the way that my camera's set up, but we got Green Day's Dookie. We got Test for Echo by Rush, which is not a fan favorite album of theirs, but I like it still. And we've got Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. I'm not a huge Linkin Park listener, but those were super cheap, and I love adding to my rock CDs, and I'll definitely be listening to them. But yeah, I've been listening to Paranoid by Black Sabbath a lot lately, and I really am just recently getting into Black Sabbath, which is very wild timing. Like I just bought that CD about a month and a half ago, and Black Sabbath is always a band I'd always wanted to listen to, but I just never had gotten around to. So super wild timing. Check out this We Play Mysterious Fish dish that the same sister-in-law who made the Majora's Mask and the Korok for me made this too. Ridiculous, super tight. Love that guy. Got this little table with an incense like stand that you stick incense in. Got a candle coaster, a little plant, and then a oil diffuser. Underneath of it, my cousin got me a little Chewbacca Furby, and he's tight. He's cool. I like him chilling down there. He's having a good time. Over here, got that big Kirby. He's got a RNS Records hat. Got a PVM that, yeah, I've got a PVM just chilling on the floor. It's unfortunate. I can't wait to do something with that when we move. A couple candles, plant, a little Kirby that my wife made for me. This closet, nothing interesting. It's just my clothes, my wife's clothes, and then more of my clothes. There's a couple like random bull crap on the floor and stuff, but not much worth showing off. I got this board, just a straight deck, no trucks. I just got it to practice carpet ollies for a little while, and that was fun. And then I just got a super cheapo Amazon wall mount for like a couple bucks, and just threw it on the wall. It's a cool board, chill to have. I used to skateboard, I don't really anymore. Had a good fall in college, like flat back on the concrete, and I was like, you know what? I'm done. It's just, I was just cruising. I wasn't doing any tricks anyways. I've got one laser disc, and I love having it. It just as a display piece. It's an anime I love. Here's Greenwood. And I also love the manga. I'll talk about the manga here in a little bit. I don't have a lot of manga. In fact, I'll probably talk about it in a future video again. And also, I just recently got rid of some, gave it to a friend. Just less stuff to move, and also some instances where it's just like I buy stuff with the intent to use it, but I'm getting to the point where I realize that sometimes I'm getting stuff just to have more of something, which is not really that appealing to me these days. And like also like, so like I got rid of some manga that I just wasn't super interested in, and like I'm getting older, I just don't have as much time as I feel like I used to, and so like I have to be, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I was trying to move the camera mount, but anyways, like I have to be realistic with my stuff, where like if I'm getting something, I have to be like, am I gonna play this game? Or am I going to read this? Or am I going to watch this, like realistically? And sometimes the answer is no. And sometimes the answer is no, but you want it anyways. And like, I'm not even gonna lie about that. That's, that has its place. But I like having stuff that I'm gonna use. This shelf is kind of a jumble of random stuff. Boxed, flash speeder Lego set. My wife got that for me, it's killer. Box guy that the same sister-in-law got for me, come on. Little Studio Ghibli guy, little Nausicaa bro, got Goku chilling. I got a little anime figure phase. Again, you get the point. It's not a phase, mom. The lighting's making this tough. I've got this sealed Soul Calibur 1 trading card box. It's very tempting to open this and check them out, but it's so neat to have this sealed. And like, I'm not like a big like sealed guy. It's more so just neat. Got a little goldfish, just a little dude hanging out. This is my original competitive Melee controller. I bought it at GameStop in like 2015 when I started playing. Yeah, I've been playing, and this year is actually my 10-year anniversary of playing competitive Melee, which is painful, but it is what it is. This is a controller that my brother-in-law made for me for competitive Melee, and I used it for a while until I was kind of done with it, and I actually want to do a video on that one, doing a little bit of work to it so I can use it for other stuff. Got my manga, got Sailor Moon down here, candle down here. Lighting's gonna be weird down here, so I'm not gonna spend a ton of time. Got Launch from Dragon Ball. Got Kyoko from My Sunny Koku. Got the old Hyrule Historia. Any lifelong Zelda fan probably has that somewhere. Link to the Past manga. Got a book on fish. I love fish. I've got 3 goldfish that I've had for a couple of years now. I think I've had them for 3 or 4 years, and they're still just going strong. But I love fish. Always have. All right, now we've got this little plant here to kind of fill an awkward space, and also kind of cover some cords. Let's be real, cords are annoying. I hate cords. So any chance I get to cover them, I'm gonna do that. Got this little fan sitting over this vent. The vent barely does anything. So, like if like this room gets hot in the summertime, because that vent just doesn't really do much. So this fan kind of takes the place of that. It fits pretty well in between these two shelves. I'm kind of happy about that, but also like doesn't just straight up cover the vent, which would be a problem. I got the game shelves. I got the two matching ones, and I'll just say real quick, this one's brown. If you watch some of my old videos on this channel, you'll see it in my old bedroom at my parents' house. It was my original game shelf. And like you could tell, I love brown furniture. I just love that dark wood color. And when I needed to expand my shelves, IKEA just had no brown bookshelves. They just didn't have any, so I had to settle for white. Which is honestly kind of a shame, but I really don't mind them. They work well with the color of the walls in here. And white goes with brown just fine. Like, they really don't look bad next to each other. I mean, they would look better if they were the same color, but oh well. Anyways, let's start over here. Like I said, I'm going to talk more in depth about my individual collections as time goes on. But I've got Switch stuff, I've got some Game Boy Advance stuff, DS, 3DS, a lot of GameCube. Like I said, I'm a big GameCube guy. Good bit of Wii. I'm pretty happy with my Wii collection. Wii games are pretty cheap, but I also like them. On Wii U, I've got most of what I want. There's not a ton of Wii U games that I don't have, that I have on my list, which is a nice feeling. I've got a small little Genesis stack. I got these all for free. I think I've got $10 total put into this Sega Genesis collection. That was just for my copy of Columns, because I like that game. Everything else I've gotten for free, and I'd like to play them one day. I've got NES, which I've showed off a little bit in my pick up and play NES games, which I want to do my pick up and play NES games video, which I want to do another video on in the future. What is even back here? Sega CD game. Got some random Sega CD games. I've never even seen a Sega CD in my house before, which is a weird way to say that I don't have one. Sorry, but got SNES. SNES is weird for me. I've always been more into NES than SNES. I'm just not a big SNES guy. But there's a couple of games on there that I love. Like, for example, and there's also a couple of games on there that are phenomenal. I think that, like, Donkey Kong Country and Yoshi's Island are two games that I played for the first time, like, not that long ago, like maybe 5 years ago. Maybe even less than that. And I think that those games are like everybody should play those games, especially Donkey Kong Country, the first one specifically. Man, I love that game. But like also like Link to the Past, Kirby Superstar, Super Mario World, Tetris Attack. Those are all. SNES has some amazing games that I just really haven't dipped my feet much deeper in the water of the SNES. I don't even know if that's a real saying, but I said it. And 64 games, which I've got the custom-made labels on the side. I bought those on Etsy. I've got my Majora's Mask, which I'll talk about in a future video. Got a pretty small but a pretty healthy Dreamcast selection. Again, I'm sorry if the video quality is not that great. I kind of have the camera like zoomed away as far out as it can be to get as much in. That kind of just ruins the quality. But for getting into the Dreamcast so late, also the light's not helping. Just turn this off real quick. For getting into the Dreamcast so late, I'm pretty happy with my collection. There's a ton more than I want, but I'm pretty happy with it. Got my PS1, and I love PS1, like, so much. So I'm happy with what I have. I've got some pretty killer titles, in my opinion. I'll talk more about it in the future. PS2, pretty healthy stack. I'm pretty happy with what I got there. 360, I got like a weirdly large amount of games during quarantine by like reselling. Not all of them are in great condition, but like the ones that I have that I will want to play are playable. I've got a lot. I was talking about kind of having more than you're going to use. Like there's a lot of games in here that I'm probably not going to play, and I'll probably get rid of them at one point. But I like it for now. I like my collection. I've got like a random couple of PS4 games, and I actually just got a PS4 for my friend recently just because he got a PS5, and I just haven't had the time to mess around with it yet. But there are some PS4 games that excuse me, there's some PS4 games I'm gonna want to play in the future. I've got my Xbox One stack. It's funny to say, Xbox One's my least favorite console that I have. I just don't care about it. There's a lot of these games on Xbox One I enjoy, but the console itself I don't care. And I've got original Xbox games. I have like 2 or 3 times more than this, but I super downsized this. I don't even have an original Xbox at the moment. I've got that 360, but there were a lot of games that I had that I was interested in potentially playing. Like for example, like I had that Pirates of the Caribbean game. It's not a rare game or anything, but that was a game that I'd like to play in the future, and I still would, but it's not playable on 360. I'm gonna stand up here. But yeah, it's not playable on 360, and I've got a buddy who has an original Xbox, and that's like his childhood console. So I just felt good giving him all these games that I know that he's gonna play and enjoy. Meanwhile, they're gonna sit on my shelf, and I'm not gonna play them for 10 years or whatever. That's kind of where I'm at right now with collecting. I enjoy it still, but there are parts of it that are kind of meh. Like there are aspects to it that are kind of challenging these days. It's not easy to get into collecting, I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to end the video on a downer, on like a dour note, but it's something worth noting. Collecting is not easy to get into. All of these, like all of my anime tapes, I got into reselling games and stuff that I had. Like I would buy like a game lot on like Facebook Marketplace, keep what I want, add it to the collection, and sell what I already had from when I was young. Like for example, I got 2 copies of Wind Waker. I just kept the other one because it's sentimental to me. But if it was a game that I didn't care about, like let's say I got a second copy of, at one point I had 3 copies of Luigi's Mansion. And I kept the one that I got originally when I was young, and I sold the other 2 that I had gotten in game lots and used that money to buy, at the time, anime VHS tapes. I think like total I've got like less than $100 quote unquote out of pocket into my anime tapes collection. And that's kind of like I don't even really like reselling. eBay kind of sucks now to use, and like Marketplace, like you can't do that everywhere. You have to be in a pretty you have to be in an area where reselling is kind of popular to even stay afloat, but even at that point you're just barely staying alive. I don't want to talk about this too much longer, honestly, because it's kind of a sad topic, but I will say this, to end on a positive note. Like, it is possible to collect. If collecting is something that you really want to do, there are ways to do it, and it can be fun. Obviously I wouldn't have this room in this condition if it weren't something that I loved, and it weren't something that brought me a lot of joy. And like I was saying, like collecting's kind of, like as I'm getting older, collecting is getting kind of tougher, but like like, I'll be honest, I've got disposable income at the moment. I'm not spending all of my money on games. Obviously, I'm spending money on rent and food and staying alive. But hey, if I want to buy a $20 game, once or twice a month, I can, and that's nice. And not everybody's in that situation, but there are ways to work around it. Like, reselling is possible. It might not be difficult, it might not be everybody's cup of tea, but it's possible. And there's always ways to find stuff. And like, that's like, collecting like is the most fun when, like, the most fun part about collecting is the hunt, I think. But you know what, I'm not gonna go into it anymore. Sorry about that little rant. I make chapters on all my videos. If there's ever a point where you want to skip ahead a little bit, I try to make that doable. I try to be realistic. As an avid YouTube watcher, I understand what I want out of YouTube videos, and I try to provide that for my viewers. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the game room. I really thank you guys for tuning in and hanging out with me for a little bit while I get to talk about something I care about. Thank you guys so much for watching my videos, for continued support. It really makes me happy to see people liking the videos, leaving comments. It's a lot of fun for me. So thank you all again for continued support, for watching this video, and happy collecting for anybody who's interested in doing this. And if you're not interested in doing this, I hope you enjoyed this video anyways. Stay tuned for more stuff. I love making content. Thanks guys, bye bye.